Would you like to know what natural instincts you must have to make you a better surveillance investigator? If you said yes, then this video is for you. Welcome to the PI Guide, tips, tricks, and advice for professional private investigators just like you. My name is John Morris. I am a licensed professional private investigator in Colorado. Now, when it comes to surveillance, folks, there are a lot of things that can make or break your case. There are a lot of skills you need to give you the upper hand. And there are a lot of things that come naturally and don't come so naturally. And that is what we will be going over in detail in this video. Now, don't fear if you don't have all of these natural instincts naturally. Some come with practice and some come through learning experiences. After all, I think the only truly natural instincts we have from birth are to breathe, eat, cry, and love our mothers. Okay, when it comes to surveillance, there are certainly some skills you must learn, and they must become second nature to you if you are to survive and thrive in this industry. You will undoubtedly make mistakes along the way. You will assuredly get burned from time to time, and you will for sure lose your target on mobile surveillance. If you think as a surveillance investigator none of these things will ever happen to you, well, you're going to be in for some big surprises, to be sure. But if you are prepared and know that they can and probably will happen, you will work on your natural surveillance skills to help ensure that they happen less frequently. Let's just jump in with parking your car. Do you know how to park your surveillance car? I don't mean like parallel parking. I'm talking strategically positioning your surveillance vehicle to give you the best advantage. Now, when we talk about the best advantage, though, there are several things to consider first. Where are you parking? Like, are you parking to observe the subject residence? Are you parking at a store where the subject went into? Are you parking at a medical facility? All of these can have differing strategies, to be sure, and each of these have caveats to answer the questions. Now, you might be saying, how do your natural instincts come into play when you consider where to park? And that is a great question indeed. You see, the more you do this, the more you're able to quickly ascertain your situation and determine what you need to be looking for, what you need to look out for, and how you should react. On most surveillances, I can just pull into the neighborhood, even in the darkness of the wee hours of the morning, ascertain and evaluate the situation, understand what parking spots are available, and determine what one is the best one for me, given many differing factors. Now, I can do this because I have been conducting surveillance investigations for 13 years. It has just become second nature or natural instinct for me. But I didn't always have those natural instincts, to be sure. I remember one of my first cases, I literally parked at the end of the driveway of my subject's rural residence because all I had heard up to at that time was the park across the street. Now today, I know both of those parking places across the street and directly across from a driveway on a rural residence are usually not the best places to be parked, to be sure. Obviously, there are some extreme situations where this may be the best place to be, but for most surveillances, it is considered a no-no unless it is all that is available and you must sit on the house. And even then, I would not recommend to try to do a close follow out of the neighborhood from that position. So let's take a look at where to park at the subject residence. Now, for this video, we will assume our subject owns his residence. We will assume the case is a personal injury case, and we are starting at 6 a.m., which is pretty normal start time for these types of cases. First, get on Google and look at the neighborhood long before you ever go out on surveillance. This practice needs to become habit. It must become a natural instinct for you. You should not be going out on surveillance ever without some intel for the location first, if at all possible. Now get on Google Maps and take a close look at the satellite view of the neighborhood. Zoom back and make note of all the possible ingresses and the egresses of the neighborhood. Make note of what are the most likely routes that he may use to leave the neighborhood. A good thing to do when looking at the map is to search for things like grocery stores, fitness centers, places like that where he may go. Then find them on Google Maps, then click on directions and put in his address. This will give you all the possible ways for him to get there. Many times the most popular route Google shows is not always the most popular route everyone in the neighborhood takes. So another thing I try to always do is to go to the neighborhood prior to conducting my surveillance. My preference is a day or two prior, or at the very least, if I'm going to start at 6 a.m., I will try to be there at 5:30. But I don't set up surveillance on the residence. I set up an observation point where I can watch and I can see how other neighbors come and go. Now, when I am ready to set up my stationary position, I have a clue as to what direction my subject may leave. So when I do my initial drive-through of the neighborhood, I'm looking for a spot where I can observe the subject residence, observe the vehicles at the residence, both in the driveway and on the street, and in a direction that my subject will most likely not drive towards me, so the opposite direction from where he will most likely go. My preference is to never have my subject drive past me, if at all possible. Now, if you're going to have to watch a mostly blocked view in the mirror and flip a U-turn on a street filled with cars to do the follow, you may need a different strategy. Perhaps you do park where he passes by, but you don't have to flip a U-turn. Then I also look for parking spaces that are on property lines too. If I can straddle two houses' property lines, then no one really knows who the car belongs to, and it may not be as suspicious to neighbors or the subject. And I am looking for lights on in houses. Who is up already? Who is getting ready for work? Who is getting the kids ready for school? This is vital information to know for sure. I don't want to park in front of a house where I see kids' toys, a family SUV, and lights on, meaning mom is getting the kids ready to take to school. This is a surefire way to get the cops called on you every time, even if you have already called yourself into dispatch. Nothing will get the neighborhood buzzing more than a freaked out mother wondering who is sitting outside of her house. Now, to top it all off, I will try to do this in one fatal swoop. I have done my intel work. I know what direction he may leave. I identified some possible places on Google Maps to park, so I will come in the opposite direction from where I think he will go, and I will try to quickly find that spot, pull over and get blacked out, hunkered down, and get ready to go. This, folks, is all with natural instinct. When I first started, I would drive through the neighborhood 3 or 4 times before I picked a spot. Then as the day went on, I might switch spots. Then I would question myself and maybe move back. The lesson to learn, make sure you make your best judgment call. Get hunkered down and sit there no matter the circumstances. Now, your subject has left the residence. You have followed your subject and his wife and his 2.6 children to the local grocery store. Now, what do? This, folks, will come more naturally to you quicker probably than parking in a residential neighborhood. Most parking lots are fairly similar, unless you get in certain areas like here in the mountains. Parking lots for grocery stores in the mountains can be, well, kind of wild at times. When I follow someone into a grocery store or a mall or a big box store parking lot, wherever I go, I first try to follow slowly. I get a good position where I can grab my video as they walk into the store. Then after they're inside, I quickly identify a parking space where I can park and see the entry side of their car. Then I grab my covert camera and I head in to get video of them inside. Now, a key here is to get back to your car before they leave the store. If you can't, though, your car is at least positioned where you can get some video as they enter their car. Remember, this is a personal injury case. Vehicle entry video is golden for these types of cases. If you get out of the store before your subject as you are walking to your vehicle, be on the lookout for parking spaces to the rear of the subject's vehicle. This needs to be at least 3 or 4 rows in an empty parking lot, or it can be closer if it is a packed parking lot. Now get in that position so you can get video from behind and you can more easily observe and follow as your subject leaves. Okay, let's look at one more parking scenario really quick. If my subject goes to a medical appointment, I treat it much like a grocery store, except I usually do not enter the clinic. I just get the video of him entering, then I try to position my vehicle to the rear of his vehicle for that sweet video spot and an easy tail out. But many times that is not always possible. Sometimes I will take a front parking space, then go on foot surveillance and sit on a bench outside or in a waiting area inside the clinic with my trusty covert camera. Then when my subject leaves, I get my video of him walking towards his car. Once he has entered, I head to my car and I get ready for the follow. This last tactic that I mentioned can be used in many types of scenarios, folks. If you follow them to a pharmacy or a smaller store or even a mall, if you've lost them on foot surveillance, just don't do it more than once per subject unless you have some really good disguises. Okay, now we covered parking your car, and with some practice, those techniques should become natural for you every time. But what about following someone out of the neighborhood? There is some serious considerations for this that are just as vital as knowing where to park. Assuming the same case scenario and assuming you have a tail position to observe the residents, meaning when your subject leaves, you can just pull in behind him and follow. Here are some key things to practice, and practice. First, when the subject gets in his car, do not start your car. If you do that, your lights come on, and believe it or not, your engine makes this noise when you start it. When your subject gets in his car, do not pull down your blackouts either right away. Now, what I use for blackouts are black foam core cutouts for each of my windows, along with some black cloth that hangs over a car clothing rod in the back seat and a windshield sunscreen. This puts me literally inside a black box that nobody can see inside. I have little cutouts in the corners for each of my windows so I can see out and I can shoot some video out. Now, you don't want to remove these immediately when your subject gets in his car, as you do not want to draw unnecessary attention to yourself. And if your subject just grabs something from the car and goes back inside, there you sit, fully exposed. The initial follow out of the subject neighborhood, folks, is half science, half art, and a tad bit of luck goes a long way too. The half science is intel work that you did, making sure that you have a good observation and follow position. The art is when you initiate the process to get going, and the luck, well, that has a lot to do with your natural instincts. Now back to my blackouts, folks. Like I said, I make these out of black foam core I get from the craft store. I cut them out to be roughly the same shape as my windows. Then I can just pop them into place, and it literally just looks like I have very tinted windows from the outside. Now, I also have a piece of heavy black cloth that I Gorilla Glue on the inside towards the top of the blackout. So when my subject leaves, I wait until he is fully backed out of the driveway and heading away from me. Then I can grab these pieces of black cloth and I can pull them. I call these my rip cords. I can pull the front blackouts out and I just let them fall on the seat. Then I grab my windshield cover and I start my car and I get going. I then grab the rip cords from the back windows and I pull those blackouts out. And then when it's safe to do so, I pull down the black curtain behind me. Now there is a lot going on, folks, and your adrenaline is pumping and your heart is racing all of the time too. If you're going to do this, do a lot of practicing and make sure you know what you're doing. It is not safe, practical, or legal probably to be driving with obstructions in your windows. Knowing when to go and when to wait is one of those crucial natural instinct moments for a surveillance investigator. After you have done surveillance for a while, it will just come naturally. And when you have made a misstep, well, you will naturally know that too. When to go on foot surveillance is one of those easier natural instincts to learn, I think. I will let you in on some secrets here. The bigger the place they go into, the more likely foot surveillance will be successful. The smaller the place they go into, the less likely it will be successful. When I started doing surveillance, I would follow my subjects into everything. Convenience stores, medical appointments, schools, you name it, and I always had my camera with me. Now, back then I had no covert camera. There was nothing affordable in the covert camera realm, and the best cell phones that there were, the best flip phones, they didn't do video. I was a bit aggressive to say the least, but I learned a lot during those early years too. After getting burned a few times because I followed my subject into a convenience store to try to get video, I stopped doing that. I had a little fanny pack that I put my camera into, then I hit record. The fanny pack had a little hole in the end so I could shoot video. Now, no one ever saw the camera, but I did have my subject approach me a time or two after I left the store right behind them and never bought anything. Now that I think about it, I wasn't all that smart back then. But when it worked out well, and my client was very impressed. One thing that goes a long way with natural instincts when determining if you should go on foot surveillance or not is common sense, folks. If it doesn't make sense, if it sounds dangerous, then maybe you just shouldn't do it. And if you're going on foot surveillance, make sure you have the right equipment to get the job done correctly. No fanny packs, please. Hey, here are 2 more videos that I made just for you. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the PI Guy channel. And remember, folks, stay safe out there.